thank you for taking an interest in our wealth coaching program. The wealth coaching program is what we use for all new clients. It is the process by which we start an engagement. And the reason we started this program is because over the years we've seen a lot of failings with traditional financial planning. Due to the computerization of the process, there's clearly a lack of customization with most plans. I've seen people get cookie cutter plans by just entering some data, the computer spits it out, and the advisor says, okay, here's what you should do. Nothing can be further from the truth. You could give me two people the same age with the same amount of money, and I could come up with two completely different strategies for them, because it's not based on what they have, it's based on what they want to do with their lives from this point forward. Traditional financial planning also provides tremendous lack of education. The client is either expected to know everything or nothing, and in fact, a lot of plans today are so voluminous that there's a belief the client's going to sit there, read it, and fully understand it. Most people are not able to absorb everything from the initial process, and it's always been our belief that the traditional planning model does not work well when it comes to educating clients. There's also been a strong over-reliance on assumptions about rate of returns, assumptions about inflation. Listen, if we've learned anything over these last couple of years, it's that anything can happen, and traditional financial planning generally doesn't take that into consideration. It has also been used as a vehicle to sell products. A lot of people who 20 years ago would have proudly told you that they were life insurance agents, they now tell you that they are financial advisors, when in truth they are still life insurance agents. They simply use the financial planning process as a way to sell product. Look, product has a role in your plan, but that should not be the initial purpose for doing financial planning. I kind of equate it to visiting a physician. Look, medication is part of the healthcare process, but when I go see a doctor, I have to go in there with the assumption, at least, that if I don't need medicine, he's not going to prescribe it. And in fact, if I need to go off something, he is going to tell me. But the financial planning process has now been used as a way to sell products, so very rarely will someone be told, oh, you're doing everything right. It's also become a very complicated process. The industry feels that the more data and charts and pages they throw at you, the better job that they're doing. I couldn't disagree more. I think that simplicity is still the essence of any good strategy, and it usually is the best strategy for every client, is to have a plan that's simple, clear-cut, one that they understand. Lastly, I've seen financial planning become incredibly speculative. Advisors telling clients, okay, we're going to put all your money in this or put all your money in that because we think this is going to be hot next. Nobody knows what the future will bring. And the advisor who tells you that he can see the future better than anyone else, at the very least, is lying to you. So what is our wealth coaching program all about? Well, traditional financial planning does serve a purpose. The analysis part of it is useful. But what we do is we combine planning with what I call drills designed to direct your behavior towards discovering and achieving your true purpose for money. If you can understand what really is the purpose for your money, you're going to go a long way towards having a plan that is more consistent with your core values and beliefs, and it's going to create a great deal of peace of mind. If you don't have an understanding about what really is the purpose for your money, chances are whatever strategy you employ, there's a high likelihood it will not bring you comfort, and you will look to a change in the near future. The wealth coaching program focuses on moving away from the traditional financial planning myths that are out there. There are three major myths that have been perpetuated by the mainstream press and by Wall Street. Stock picking is a major one. Market timing is a second one. And what I call track record investing is the third. And these are the three myths that have perpetuated planning, particularly investment management. Interestingly enough, the academic community over the last 60 years has shown us a far better way of doing things than the way Wall Street would suggest that you do things. And it's interesting because what the academic approach is clearly operating is in your best interest. We find that Wall Street operates in Wall Street's best interest. What are our core philosophies? Well, I will tell you, I don't think we're a firm for everybody. First and foremost, I believe free markets work. And what I mean by that is I think that information travels so quickly today that markets respond to it instantaneously. And thus, there really is no skillful way that we can make movements before the rest of the market does. Everything you know about a given company, it's already factored into the price. It's what we don't know that's going to move markets going forward, and that's going to be a function of supply and demand. Supply and demand is going to respond to the news of the day. So rather than us trying to defeat market rates of return, I'm a proponent of getting market rates of return. Secondly, good playing does not require death to be successful. We have to assume that you're going to live a long time. That's a good thing. But planning needs to take that into account. We never want to take the attitude that says, well, I'll be dead by then and everything will be fine. No, that may not happen. Good planning should not expect death. Death happens unexpectedly. The future cannot be accurately predicted. We're not even going to try. We're just going to rely on a simple mathematical concept called reversion to the mean. Simply put, there is a level of predictability or unpredictability for everything, and we're going to operate within that range. But I'm not going to try to tell you what I think markets are going to do in the next 6 months or the next year. I have no clue. Your guess is as good as mine. Clients are going to hear our opinion even if they don't wish to hear it. That's just a commitment that I make. I'm going to tell you what I think you should do even if you don't want to hear it. You're the boss. You can decide, all right, I don't want to do that. That's perfectly fine. But you do need to hear what I feel is the right way to go. And as I said before, simple strategies typically work the best. What are the components of this coaching program? Well, from a planning standpoint, we begin with what we call the critical factors discovery. And that's where I look at all of your information and ask a lot of questions about why you're here and how you think that we can help you. I will ask questions you will find unusual because I'm not going to focus so much on what you have. I'll talk about that. But I'm really going to be talking about more your psychology towards money, because the last thing I ever want to do is to create a plan that in some way conflicts with your values about money. The steps going forward, the abundant cash flow retirement map, that's where I'm going to answer the very simple question, which is, are you going to have enough money to last the rest of your life? What changes do you need to make sure that you stay solvent as long as you can live? In the financial foundation formula, I will look at how you spend your money on insurance. Hopefully there's ways we can cut costs there. The insurance you needed as a working person could be a lot different than the insurance that you need as a retiree. The free market investing process is where I'll look at how your portfolio is currently structured, and I'll compare it to an alternative approach that usually incorporates a lot more diversification and a lot less day-to-day transactional activity. In the personal income tax relief system, obviously, I'm looking to help you cut your taxes. If you define patriotism as paying as much as possible to the IRS as you can, you will not like this plan. But if you believe that you should pay as little as you legally have to, we're going to be on the same page. We're going to look to cut that. In the purpose-based estate plan, my goal here is to give you some direction on the strategy that you have, how it's going to be effective in passing your assets to your heirs, and perhaps educate you on alternative approaches. Now, we are not lawyers, so ultimately proper legal counsel is required to implement these recommendations. My job is to educate you on these so that when you do sit down with the attorney, you are informed about what is probably the best strategy for you. In the social and community strategy, there's where we'll get into charitable giving. If that's a goal of yours, we can give you some recommendations on the best way to incorporate charitable giving into your overall plan. The coaching part, that part which gets to the drills that help change behavior or focus you on the right behavior, begin with discovering your true purpose for money. Really, what is the reason that you have money? My true purpose for money, believe it or not, is not to buy things. The purpose for my money, it's not even to create security. The purpose for my money is to create self-reliance. And in everything I do with it, if in any way I'm conflicting with that, for example, if I'm spending money on my child that I think is going to in some way impede his self-reliance, invariably I feel bad about what I just did. So it's very important that we have a clear understanding about what is the purpose for our money, and then we implement actions that are consistent with that. It may sound a little touchy-feely, but I have to caution you. You need to understand that people are touchy-feely. We are emotion-based beings. We are not logic-based beings. And the fact that we are emotion-based beings is a good thing, but we need to make sure that we are aware of that and we utilize those emotions properly. Choosing your investment philosophy is where we come to an understanding, or at least we declare our beliefs about whether or not we believe markets work or markets fail. And depending on what we believe is going to go a long way to determining what strategy is best for us. Separating myth from truth is where we will learn about the myths of investing that have been perpetuated by Wall Street and how the academic community has shown us a more consistent and more strategic way to invest our money long term. Understanding the dimensions of risk and return is designed to help you understand fully what a good year is likely to be and what a bad year is likely to be. It doesn't matter what strategy you employ. You're going to have good years and bad years. It's how you get through those that's ultimately going to determine your success. In the investment vortex, I will get into the volatility of a portfolio, and it will show you in a much more quantitative manner the value of diversification. Costs, the dark side of investing, gets into the hidden costs that perpetuate most investment strategies, and these are things that if we can minimize, increase your chances for success. And then lastly, structuring your free market portfolio talks about how you have a portfolio that's properly diversified that increases your chances for the long term. Now, there is going to be some repetition of message for all of these. In some ways, I kind of equate it to going to church. If you go to religious services every week, there's going to be a very similar message. It usually surrounds the golden rule in one way or another. But let's face it, if you're like me, by Tuesday, you've already demonstrated that maybe you forgot what was told to you on Sunday. So what are the next steps? Well, when we get with a client, the first thing is to start that critical factors discovery. That's where I sit down and I get a clear understanding about how we can help you. If you feel there's a fit there, we will then give you an engagement agreement. I don't know what your fee is going to be until I sit down with you and get a clear understanding about what your situation is. Everybody is going to be different, but a fee will be quoted to you. We will then establish a meeting schedule. For the most part, it takes about 4 meetings to complete the wealth coaching process. And then when we're done, I will provide you with an implementation checklist designed to go over everything that we've reviewed, and I will coach you towards making decisions. This was recommendation number 1. Are you going to do it? Yes, no. If you're going to do it, how are you going to implement it? When are you going to get it done? The last thing we ever want to do with this process is to create loose ends. My job is to coach you towards making decisions. So that is our wealth coaching program. If you have any questions, feel free to call our office. Thank you for taking an interest in our wealth coaching program.